Welcome to my educational beauty channel. Today's video is me actually showing you a full MAC makeup look, but there's something a little bit more special about this video because I'm going to be showing you how to embrace your flaws and how to start loving your imperfections. So stay tuned. I'm starting off with a clean base, no skincare on whatsoever. I've just kind of washed my face. So I'm gonna get started with the MAC Hyper Real Skin Canvas Balm. This is something I actually really love as a like moisturizer and primer. I feel like it's not something you need to add a primer on top for. I feel like this is like actually a really good base for when you're putting foundation or concealer on after. So I'm just gonna smooth this over. And the weird thing is it doesn't actually look like a balm, but it really feels like a balm. I'm just putting this around the eyes too because I don't have a separate eye cream for this, but as I've mentioned before, you can do that as long as it isn't a kind of like super heavy moisturizer. So I'm not gonna contour underneath with this look. So no underpainting with this look. The reason being is because there's a specific base that I wanna create for this look. I've been really excited about creating this look because I've seen this look quite a lot on different people, like not recently, just over time. And it's nothing that's really kind of like trending. It's just a look that I think is just such a stunning look, and it's a really simple look too, so I'm super excited to show you. But yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of sculpting with a bit of the MAC palette after, which is the foundation palette, which I absolutely love because it just has every kind of shade that I need for my skin tone in there. So I'm going to use my MAC Studio Fix foundation first, and I'm gonna have to probably mix a couple of shades together because I am quite tanned today. Well, not just today, just generally at the moment. Actually, I'm not gonna have to mix. So I thought I'd have to mix these two together, but it doesn't seem like I have to. So the shade I'm gonna use is NW35. I'm usually NC35 or when I'm not tanned, but actually NW looks like it kind of suits my skin tone, so I'm gonna use that. Okay, so NW it is. So let's get a couple of pumps of that on the back of my hand. I'm gonna get my Sigma F85 brush, and I am just gonna buff this into my skin. This is actually a really good color for my tan. I don't think I've ever tried like the NW range. It's actually a really nice foundation as well. Like I don't understand half the time why I stop using stuff. I guess you just start using new stuff and then you're like, you forget, you know? If you feel like you're getting value from this video, then please do hit the thumbs up button because it's really gonna help my channel out. If you wanna see more videos like this, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also that bell button so that you're notified every time a new video drops. I am on all of the social media platforms listed below, and links to these can be found in my description box below, along with some amazing discount codes from some of my favorite beauty brands. Thanks so much for your support. Now let's get back to this video. I don't want a super heavy, oh, that just didn't come out right. I don't want a super heavy look because I actually want my flaws to be coming through, like my, well, some people call them flaws, but I mean, I actually quite like some of them, like, you know, like my freckles. I want all of that to come through. In fact, I'm gonna be actually enhancing them. So I'm gonna really kind of like bring those bits out after. You actually need the smallest amount of this foundation, by the way. You don't need a lot of foundation with this. Okay, now that I've got a thin layer of foundation on, like I feel like it's kind of like just given me a more uniform finish to the skin. It's just got rid of the very subtle kind of hyperpigmentation I have. Like it's not so bad on my skin, but I think that I've kind of like, you know, got a nice veil of color now. So this is where I'm gonna use the foundation palette. Now you can use a normal concealer if you want, but I actually really, obviously, as a makeup artist, I obviously do use a lot of palettes. So I'm quite happy with using this palette. I actually prefer this than using, you know, actual concealers from MAC, but I haven't actually tried a lot of the concealers from MAC for a while. So I'm thinking I wanna kind of go with this shade here. Or I'll probably mix these two together so that it's a little bit light. Those two, so hold on, 4 and 5. That's actually NC35 and NC45. Okay, perfect. Those are the shades that I'm gonna be using. And I'm gonna be using a sponge to apply them with. So I've got my beauty blender. I'm gonna go into both, just dab a bit into both. And now I am gonna just kind of like give myself some really nice even eyelids because these are a bit dark. The reason I like using a palette is because on certain areas where I feel like I want it to be a bit lighter, I can very easily dip into the one which is a little bit lighter. You're not just stuck with that one color. Honestly, I don't think it's only my makeup artists that should have palettes. Like, you as a person who is not a pro makeup artist at all, I would suggest getting a foundation or concealer palette. A foundation palette is actually better, and I really, really love this MAC one because it's better than wasting your money on a concealer palette when this is a kind of like, it's a full coverage foundation palette, but it doesn't have to be full coverage because honestly you can dilute the coverage very, very easily. It's about how much you apply and how hydrated your skin is underneath. But I just feel like you can create so much more. You can mix around colors, and you can even use them to help kind of like sculpt the eye a little bit and create more of a smoky eye. There's just so much you can do with it. So I would highly recommend getting this. So now I'm using my Studio Fix powder in NC40, and I'm just gonna kind of pat a little bit of this over my eyelids, and this is gonna just set that area for me. Next up, I'm going to be applying it everywhere else on the face that I feel that I need it. So I'm going to kind of like highlight certain areas, just bring out the kind of like brightness in certain areas like my under eyes, but I don't actually want a super flawless look. I actually want to see, I know this sounds weird, but I want to see a bit of the kind of like the darkness in certain areas, like the dark circles, but not overly, like not a lot. And you're going to see why, right? Because there's actually a specific lipstick I'm going to be using. And when you have this whole look of that kind of almost imperfect base, like not really, it's just real skin that we're going to be showing, you know. We really want to kind of make the most of the things that usually we're always trying to cover up. So I really want to show you how you can do that. And it can look a bit kind of dull when you don't have any kind of lipstick on and your eyebrows aren't done and you're like lashes, there's nothing on there, but honestly once it's done it looks so good. I just think it looks really real and it looks really, really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and apply a mix of both of those, just kind of like on the under eye area. I'm not going too close to the kind of lower lash line. I kind of feel like that is enough. I'm not focusing on lifting or anything, I'm literally just focusing on kind of just getting rid of the obvious dark circles. And then whatever's left on that sponge, any other areas. So you can see there's actually hardly any kind of contouring, or like we haven't gone for that obvious under eye thing. So I'm gonna leave that as that, right? Now what I wanna do is go into a much darker shade because I'm just gonna create a little bit of kind of like sculpting on the face. I'm gonna use NW45, which is quite dark. Yeah, and I'm just gonna add a bit of kind of like sculpting on the cheekbones there. This is honestly so much better than using a powder. It just melts into the skin, and this is why I love this palette so much. You can go around the perimeter of the face, you know, just so it doesn't look so disconnected. I'm happy with that. So next up, what I want to do is use a much lighter shade. This is NC30. I'm going to take a little bit on the tip of this sponge, and what I'm going to do is just kind of like do this inner part here of the dark circles, and you're going to find that that actually helps to brighten the whole area so much better. That is enough. Now I'm going to use an eyeliner brush. This is the INGLOT 30T brush. It's a really thin eyeliner brush, and I'm actually going to use NW50 in the foundation palette, and I'm just going to coat the tip of this brush. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over all of my kind of like freckles on my face and basically just deepen them a bit. So everywhere I can see freckles, I would say this is way better than actually kind of getting a pen or like a liner pen or brow pen or something and doing it that way, because this is basically foundation, so you're going to make it look way more natural. So I'm going to just go over everywhere that I can see my freckles. Because let's be honest, right? Freckles or sunspots, whatever you have, are not always placed in the greatest places. Like, you know, you can't really decide where you're going to get them. And because we're actually doing this before we set our base, all of this is going to be set underneath. It's pretty crazy where I have freckles. Okay, now I've actually done it over the areas that I genuinely do have freckles. I'm going to see if there's anywhere else I actually want to add it. So I do want to add a few around here. Not crazy, like I don't want to look like you know, like I've done it in an obvious way. There you go, that's enough for me. Now, even though this may look a little bit OTT when you first do it, it's gonna tone down, don't worry. Now, I'm gonna take the back of my sponge and I'm just gonna go over everywhere that I've actually applied all this, and it's gonna soften it a bit and not look so obvious. There you go. Lastly, I am just gonna make sure there are no creases. I'm gonna get my Studio Fix powder on my Real Techniques brush, and I'm now gonna set my face. And now this powder on top of everywhere that I've actually kind of like enhanced these freckles is gonna also help to dilute how kind of dark they are. So they're just gonna look very subtle and not over the top. You don't have to apply the powder everywhere, by the way. You can just apply it wherever you feel that you need it. I do like to apply it a lot in the kind of like, not a lot, but just mainly on the center of the face, just all the way down. And the outer part, I'm kind of fine with it being a little bit kind of glowy. Now, I'm gonna use my MAC Eyebrows Styler in Spiked and do my brows. So I'm just gonna literally just do a little feathering and just keep them not too thick, because recently I've been going a bit overboard with how thick my brows look. So let's just kind of do some feather strokes. I also want to make sure for this look that my brows are not looking like super kind of like sharp, if that makes sense. I'm happy with these being kind of just, you know, not so perfect. Next up, you want to make sure you do curl your lashes, because we're not going to be putting any kind of like eyeshadow on. I'm using my MAC Stack Mascara. Now, it's really important for this look that we don't go crazy with the lashes. So I'm not actually going to apply the mascara from the root of the lash. I'm focusing from mid-length to tips. Focus on that. Don't focus on getting it into the root, because I don't want the eyes to look kind of like overly defined. I actually want them to look quite bare. That's as much mascara as I'm going to put on. So just run through the lashes a few times, and then same with the lower lashes. You can go as much as you want, but honestly I think that you could even go less than this. Like, you don't have to make those top lashes look so long. It's really just about enhancing them. Now, the last bit of the face that I want to do is just kind of sculpt the nose a very, very small amount. And I'm going to go into my foundation palette again. You can do this before the powder if you want, but I don't mind doing it after, because I actually didn't apply too much powder. But I'm going to get my Fenty 200 brush and an NC 50. And I am just going to basically dip that in and just kind of like sculpt my nose the same way that I usually do. Literally really simple like that. Now is the exciting part, because this look all comes together, and I'm gonna be using my MAC lip pencil in Brick. Now I wanna get a nice clean lip for this. So everything else has been like not focused on really getting it so clean, but the lip is gonna be clean, like super clean. So we're gonna get a really nice clean lip line. So the lip liner is done. Now I'm going to apply the MAC lipstick. It's the Maximal Matte lipstick, by the way. These are the new ones that have like extra pigment, matte and comfortable on the lips. And this shade is 602 Chili. I'm mixing this in with a red lip line, because I feel like the red lip line really, really does kind of like give me that clean finish. And I do really like these two colors mixed in together, because this is like almost like a brick color, but it is so nice when you mix them together. Now I'm gonna get a lip brush and just blend the lip line into the lipstick. Now, if you want to adjust the lip line, I would suggest using a lip brush and that lipstick rather than going back in with your lip liner, because your lip liner pencil can really change the color a lot if you don't only focus on the lip line. Because if you start mixing it in and adding more after, it is going to adjust the color. So whenever I want to adjust the lip line, I'm wearing a bold color, I always go in with the lipstick and a lip brush. why is this color so insane? I absolutely love this whole look. What are you guys thinking of this look? Because it's a really easy look and it's something different because it's not really focused about getting a flawless base or like, you know, like covering everything up. Like we've gone for a bold lip, like a really nice colorful lip. I just find it very kind of like, I don't know, this is what it reminds me of. Summer in New York. Like when it's hot, when it's really in the like peak of summer, hot and sweaty, and this is the kind of makeup look you have, and it kind of like, you have that natural glow coming through the skin, and we've used no concealer, we've only used foundation. We've used a Studio Fix foundation for a veil of color, literally that's it, just to make sure that we've got that base. And then we've used the foundation palette to kind of like add a bit of depth into the face. Like you can see we've got a little bit of sculpting, but it's not crazy, it's not like whoa, you know, it's very subtle. And even our under eyes, they weren't covered up like fully, not as much as what you would usually do it, because I still want to see the different kind of like depths of the face, you know. I want to see the like where my face curves a little bit, and I feel like my skin looks very natural. As much as we have applied makeup, I feel like you can see the tan coming through. You can, I don't know what that was. You can see the tan coming through. We can see the flaws. We can see my sunspots, like my freckles, and then you've got the lip, and there's this really subtle glow coming through the skin. And I like that. And I just feel like this is a look that, you know, more people should wear. Like, don't focus on trying to cover everything up all the time. If you have some flaws or whatever you call flaws, try and embrace them a little bit more. Like, I know we've gone through this a million times. Like, you know, you hear so many people talking about embrace your flaws, blah, blah, blah. It's easier said than done, you know, because like what I'm looking at is the freckles that I had, which at one point I would always cover up. And I guess as I've gotten older, I've realized, or I've seen, that they are becoming more prominent. And the crazy thing is, my mum has, you know, she has so many freckles on her face. And I remember when I was younger looking at her skin thinking, wow, how have you got freckles? Like with darker skin, you kind of just think, how do you have freckles? Some of them are sunspots, some of them are not kind of, you know, any sun damage or anything like that. And the reason I know that is because I have had my skin, you know, that 3D machine where you can look at everything. Yeah, it's obviously something I've kind of picked up from, or it's hereditary, whatever you want to call it. It's just, you know, I've obviously got similar skin to my mum, but I have stopped trying to cover everything up. And even when it comes to my dark circles, depending on the look, I'm going to keep it real with you guys. I'm not like to the point where I'm like, oh, I just want to let my dark circles show. I genuinely am a lot better with them, but it depends on the look that I'm doing. If I'm creating a look where everything is very neutral, I'm using more kind of neutral browns, then I generally like to cover up the dark circles and have it looking flawless. But I still do kind of do the whole, like, you know, like try and bring my other kind of freckles through so that it doesn't look so flat. But when I'm wearing something like this, I don't mind there being that kind of slight hollowness there. I just feel like it's just a way for me to be able to embrace that, you know? So I feel like there are different things that you can do. It really is about you figuring out, do you have that one look where you can embrace those flaws that you have and maybe just change them around a little bit but not have to fully cover them? Or do you have a few looks that you can do which you know that those are the looks I can create where I'm embracing my flaws a little bit more? Like for me, this is a look that I can embrace my flaws a little bit more. And I know that when you come face to face, it's not gonna look flawless. You're gonna see some of my acne scars. You're gonna see my freckles that are not in the perfect place, you know, where you get those filters and it's just perfectly placed. Trust me, my freckles are randomly a whole load here, a couple here. Actually, they're scattered on my nose. This one comes and goes. It just decides when it wants to appear and when it doesn't want to appear. That's a scar. I've got a couple here, but mainly they're like here, and I've started getting them on my forehead now. So I'm just like, you know what? They're not even. They don't look like a pretty filter, but I'm good with that. And this is real, you know? I'm just making it a bit more comfortable to wear for me. So I really do hope you've enjoyed this video today, and I hope it's a little bit different for you. And I hope it's given you a bit of a push to kind of embrace whatever flaws or imperfections that you feel that you may have and just make the most of them. Because the same way that people look at wrinkles and say, you know what, they tell a story, it's my life experience, I also find that these little things, like these little flaws that you may have or imperfections, whatever you want to call them, they are also a massive part of who you are. And yeah, why not embrace them sometimes? Like, You can do whatever you want to do. If you feel like covering them up, cover them up. Try a few looks out where you can actually embrace them a little bit. It might actually change the way that you look at yourself. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm sending you loads of love wherever you are in the world. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. Until the next video, take care and I'll see you soon.